This is gonna be a pretty candid review of a luxury product. Criticizing business class can sound entitled and annoying, but hey, American Airlines deserves criticizing. I've flown over 160 airlines, mostly in business class, and I've flown American Airlines long-haul business class a dozen times, but it still puzzles me. On a good day, they're perfectly fine, maybe even preferable to some other low-tier airlines, but on a bad day, they really fall short. With subpar catering and indifferent cabin crew, it feels like they're letting down anyone who's paying top dollar for their tickets. Now, I don't dislike American Airlines, but after this flight, I genuinely feel bad for anyone who has to fly with them regularly. It's clear that customer satisfaction is not their priority. So join me, Dan, a full-time airline reviewer for over a decade, and I'll show you exactly why I feel this way. Good morning from Pittsburgh. I'm about to hop on an American Airlines or American Eagle Embraer 175 over to JFK before I begin the long-haul journey on a daytime flight from New York to London in American business. Yes, this review starts at the once world-famous Pittsburgh airport way too early in the morning. Ugh, how I wish my flight was operated by Cathay or Qantas instead. In reality, there's nothing wrong with this flight. In fact, flying an Embraer in the US can be pretty sweet in a premium cabin, assuming you board early so your bag fits. Look at this lovely 1-2 configuration. We depart Pittsburgh during the most beautiful sunrise. Although I don't enjoy getting up at 4 a.m. for a flight like this, I've got to say this is my favorite time of day to fly. There's something so peaceful about an early morning flight when everyone else is sleeping and you just stare out of the window listening to music. The in-flight service on US short-haul flights needs no comment and doesn't really vary between airlines, but soon enough, we are touching down at JFK where the real adventure will begin. Made it to New York. It feels so weird not to be leaving the airport here. I think this might be my second time ever transiting in New York without visiting my family. My dad and his entire side of the family is here. So I spent a lot of time here growing up, but today that's not the plan. We're heading straight to London and first the lounge. I'm obsessed with these JFK ads. It's actually a remarkably nice experience transiting here in JFK, especially if you arrive on a morning flight from somewhere close to the East Coast like this. Sorry, the monkeys or the apes are screaming behind me, but yeah, it's a very nice experience because the terminal is so empty, transit is so smooth. I mean, how amazing is it that you don't only have to be originating in New York, you can originate in Pittsburgh or, DC or many other places and still catch a daytime flight to London, which is my preference. I really can't stand those short red eyes, at least the ones leaving earlier in the day, because they're just too short to get any real rest and you feel completely destroyed the next day. At least I do. And hello, here is our bird to London, freshly arrived from winter in South America. Wow, we got pretty lucky. That's our aircraft right outside the window here, so we get a full, view of the whole fuselage, top to bottom, front to back. And she's beautiful, even though she's 25 years old. I also have to say it, but I really love American Airlines logo since they're rebranding. Unfortunately, I just lost One World Emerald status, which I'm frantically trying to regain, but for now, that means no first class lounge. That's not a problem since we get to go to the Greenwich lounge, which is basically just a rebranding of American's previous flagship lounge, but hey, I really love this space, especially before the evening rush when it gets busier. Even then, this is a sanctuary compared to Delta's lounges at JFK. Yet there are no fancy amenities here like a spa, but you have good views, plenty of seating, and most of all, far better food than you'll ever find on board an American Airlines aircraft. Funnily enough, there's also a massive champagne and wine bar here at 7 a.m. Outside, British Airways' morning flight to London is just departing. If you're wondering how BA compares to AA, check the card now for my latest video from when I reviewed them. And after a wonderful stay in the lounge, it's time to head to our aircraft. And by the way, it's worth visiting this lounge for that coconut yogurt alone. Let's admire our beauty one more time from the outside before things start getting negative, shall we? Stun her. They'll never get me to hate the 777-200. So the gate is a little chaotic since, as you see, they divide people into massive groups of 1 to 4 and 5 to 9. I end up getting in line where it says priority. Oscar and I were standing in line to board like 2 minutes before boarding. One of them comes up to us like, "What are you doing?" Waiting to board. "You can't stand here." "Okay, it says group 1 to 4 boarding. This is for concierge key only." So we're like, "Okay, thank you." So what does the aircraft look like inside? Well, that is hard to say since you can get one of 2 configurations on American and you never know which you'll get. American has one type with reverse herringbone super diamond seats and will show this on all flights in advance. A few days before your flight, you'll know if you're on that or their other type featuring bespoke saffron concept D seats. These are actually unique to American Airlines. All their 777-200 ERs have the exact same number of seats with 37 in business class. About 40% of these aircraft have this seat, which alternates between being forward-facing and backward-facing. If you look closely, you'll also see that it looks like some seats are connected, and that's because they are. A lot of people complain about this since it leads to you feeling all the movements of your seat neighbor while you're in your seat. Personally, it doesn't bother me, but if you want to avoid it, choose one of the disconnected seats I'm highlighting right now. OSKAR is in one of them, 7 Alpha today, while I'm in 8 Alpha, where I'll enjoy sharing seat movements with the lovely lady next to me. 37 passengers share 3 lavatories here for an excellent lavatory ratio of 1 to 12. With that, let's hop on board. Wait a minute, there's something I need to recommend to you guys if you travel literally anywhere. My laptop battery seems to run out in about an hour, even though I just bought it a few years ago. Don't ask me why. So whenever I'm on a flight or on a train or in a taxi that doesn't have charging, that's a problem. What's the solution? Carrying a power bank with massive capacity. No, not this. This little bad boy is the size of a soda can, yet supports 250 watt fast charging. It also has 170 watt recharging and a capacity of almost 28,000 milliamp hours. It's airline approved and can charge everything you need wherever you go. It's called the Anker Prime Power Bank and has changed the way I can travel. It holds almost 5 full recharges of my phone. It can charge a MacBook Pro to 50% in just 28 minutes. I can locate it easily if I ever lose it using the Anker app. And safety is something I'm personally always concerned about, but this little bad boy has built-in over voltage and overheating protection. The screen lets me keep track of the remaining battery level and even shows me how much time is remaining until my device is fully charged. How cool is that? And best of all, you can fully recharge the power bank in 37 minutes, making it even more convenient. Stop worrying about running out of battery and upgrade your travels now with the Anker Prime Power Bank. Check it out at the link at the top of the description or scan the QR code right here, right now. Before we get into this, I just want to say to the doubters, here's what American Airlines SVP of In-Flight and Premium Guest Services says about their food.
It really doesn't matter what you serve. The number one outlier that is important to our customers is running an on-time operation.
Sounds to me like he's implying all that matters is an on-time flight. Well, in that case, this flight is going to be a 10 out of 10 because we're on time. If you haven't already, here's where you're gonna realize about American Airlines. The soft product, like the seat, the fact there are a lot of lavatories, the bedding, headphones, etc. are all great. It's the soft product that can be pretty abysmal. You see, our seats look great, not the most private, but I don't mind it. So welcome on board, guys. I was expecting the reverse herringbone on this flight, which is a much better seat than this. In some ways, it feels more luxurious. It's a bit nicer, but I will say this very unique custom seat for American Airlines also has its perks, so let's look around. Waiting at the seat, we have a water bottle, headphones, and a menu. There are also 2 charging ports and 2 USB ports. Nice. We can control the movement of our seat through this screen right here. As we settle in, we're served a choice between sparkling wine, orange juice, or water for our pre-departure beverage in plastic glasses, and soon push back bound for London. Here's where things start to get interesting. The entire rear cabin turns out to be full of deadheading crew. There are 2 other regular passengers on my side of the plane besides me and OSKAR. Everyone else is off duty and works for American Airlines. When the crew come around to ask for meal orders, who do you think they ask for their choice first? The deadheading crew, of course. I posted this on my Instagram story and literally had threats of violence from American Airlines flight attendants. But listen, no paying passenger thinks it's unreasonable to expect that someone paying thousands of dollars for their ticket should get their first choice. Apparently that's controversial at American Airlines though. Speaking of, what are the choices? This is our menu for today, and since the meal will ultimately be served close to lunchtime, we're offered lunch instead of breakfast, which is fantastic news since breakfast is usually the worst airplane meal. In terms of drinks, American Airlines has a decent selection of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. Now let's enjoy some 777-200 engine goodness. So we just took off. I've sat here for like 10 minutes ASMRing to the amazing roar of the 777-200 engines, which every av geek appreciates so much, and it's just getting to hear it in real life is awesome. It sure is. So what do you say we check out the Amenity kit straight from Detroit via China probably. We've got a pen, nice, and most of the other essentials you'll need. You know how everything's bigger in the US? Well, apparently that doesn't apply to hot towels, or should I say hot tissues? Having said that, are airplane beds bigger in the US? Well, obviously not, but there's one thing I love about this seat. I've flown this seat several times before. The last time was when I went to Brazil. Oh my gosh, 2021, so it's been a few years. But what I remember is that I slept like a baby in this seat, and I still agree, because you're so free by your feet, this is really one of the best business class beds. So what the seat doesn't fully have in upright mode, like privacy or a lot of storage, you benefit more from when you're in bed mode because it's very open. I call this American foot freedom. Look at that. I don't just complain, do I? Also, I love American's Casper bedding, but even so, it is miles behind United's Saks Fifth Avenue bedding. Speaking of freedom, I'm choosing to drink 60 grams of sugar from this small can of syrup. Sorry, I mean cranberry juice today. Okay, I just have to comment quickly on the tablecloth is so small, like it looks so bad. I'm assuming it fits on their other aircraft, whether it's the Dreamliner or their reverse herringbone 777. If not, this is just not a good look, but I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just like a good representation of how much American Airlines cares. The tablecloth is the reason you guys choose an airline, right? Right? Pro tip, or maybe this is just a basic tip, but I dilute my cranberry juice with sparkling water on American. If they don't offer mocktails, I'll use my freedom to make my own. As I wait, let's all check out the headphones. Keep that thought for a second. All right, you guys ready to eat? My appetizer is a pile of arugula, which I usually love, with some roasted eggplant, what I think are mashed roasted peppers, and capers.
Everybody's so creative.
In case you think it's only my appetizer that looks like that, here's a peek at my neighbor's pile of leaves. The best thing about this meal is the pretzel roll. Frankly, that could very well be the best part of any meal. Just before I dig into my very gourmet looking meal, I just have to say, you know, I know the crew are very busy. American Airlines, or US Airlines in general, don't have the same number of staff on board as many other places, but I called the crew call bell 3 times because those headphones I was talking about earlier didn't work. So I called it 3 times waiting for someone so I could ask for a replacement because I tried with OSKARs and it worked with them. No one came. Finally, someone comes by when they're serving the meal. I asked for a replacement, still no headphone replacement. So I guess I'm not watching anything because the meal will be done by the time I get it. Whoa, so sarcastic. Apologies from future Dan. Well, my main course looks like this. If this doesn't make you feel sick, I have great news. You'll enjoy flying American Airlines. I'm especially appetized by the rectangular yellow blob of God knows what. I still don't have my new headphones at this point, so I walk to the galley before they're done with the main courses, but before eating mine and say, "Excuse me, my headphones are broken. Do you have another pair?" The crew respond, "What do you mean broken? They don't work. I tried watching something and the sound is really strange." "And did you try turning them on and off?" "Yeah, of course, and it still doesn't work." "Okay, if you say so." Obviously, there's nothing outright bad about that interaction. It's just such a painful contrast to airlines where that interaction could have been so wildly different. As 50% New Yorker, I blame it on New York. I'll also say that American Airlines is understaffed, but I imagine even if they had more staff, they wouldn't be willing to pay to put more staff on a flight like this in order to improve the service. Okay guys, it's time to dig into the dessert. I don't know if I can handle the opulence of this chocolate chip cookie. Sorry, I just got depressed for a second. Yeah, this is dessert on a $10,000 business class ticket if you don't eat dairy. Oops, my bad. It turns out you can get this one-way flight for as little as $1,800, which is actually crazy cheap. That totally explains and justifies this cookie. It's the return from London to New York that's $10,000 one way. Okay, on the bright side, this cookie was incredibly delicious. Genuinely. Wow. I guess I'd even pay $10K for that cookie. Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna stop being sarcastic now because we're halfway to London and it's time to get some work done. By work, I mean showing you guys the lavatories. Again, nice hard product. These are great. All right, that's it for the positives. Back to the moaning. The cheapest Wi-Fi is $29. Scandalous. Upon seeing that price, I decided I'd rather lose a whole flight of productivity than give any more of my money to American Airlines, so I work on something, probably my seat maps. It actually gets quite bumpy at some points too. Once the seatbelt sign is turned off after some chop, I head to the galley for a snack since there are no crew in sight and I dare to step into their territory. In fact, the crew is really nowhere to be seen at all between meals today. The presentation of the snacks is giving, "I'm not paid enough for this." Honestly, I'm ready for American Airlines to have a redemption, and we somewhat have that with our pre-landing meal. I've been working for the past 3 hours straight, and now we're about an hour out of London. These flights go so fast, and it's time for the second meal, which looks promising. Let's see. First of all, I'm impressed by the portion size of the second meal, given that this is just a 6-hour flight. Does it look appetizing? Not really. Can I identify what this yellow square is? Absolutely not, but it's different from the previous meal. As I eat, the sun starts setting outside, and at this point, I've got to ask, if you're a fan of American Airlines, what is it they do that you love so much? I'm genuinely curious because I can see how hard product people could enjoy this. I'm more of a rare soft product person who would choose friendly service and good food over having the best seat kind of thing, which is why this type of flight leaves me unsatisfied. Again, great hard products, the entertainment system is really good with a huge selection and intuitive navigation with a search button. With that, we touched down at one of the busiest international airports in the world. This is a great time to land at Heathrow because it's almost empty and you'll get home or to your hotel in no time. Oh, we made it to London, strangely enough, on the exact same gate in Terminal 3 I landed at a few months ago when I flew Virgin Atlantic. I will say that was a dramatically better flight than this, but this way wasn't too shabby of getting to London either. Just quickly before I say this, you guys know there's nothing I love more than praising cabin crew, and usually I love giving them recognition when they do well. Unfortunately, what I'm about to say is something that needs to be said in this situation. quite tired now, so I don't think I'm gonna summarize at the hotel. I'll just very quickly here say I've had four flights on American Airlines in the past week. I don't understand how it's possible for every single employee pretty much to hate their job as much as they seem to do at American and the staff on today's flight. It's like, if you hate your job so much and you hate your passengers so much that every interaction you do the least, like you would be nicer to your mailbox than to the passengers, then quit. Like that's my takeaway. I would say the food is what you expect from a US airline. The seat, I do like. The entertainment, decent, probably not as good as United or as I remember having before on American. But overall, I'll be looking to fly other airlines across the Atlantic. Definitely prefer British Airways to American after this flight. Hi, let me just go around the table quickly because I have something to tell you about that I think you want to hear. You don't have to fly American Airlines. No one has to fly American Airlines. And even though American Airlines is sometimes cheap, I bet I can show you an even cheaper way. What if you could go from the Northeast US, let's say New York, Boston, DC to Madrid for less than $600 each way in one of American Airlines' closest partners business class that I can tell you is better than American? What if I told you you can fly one of my favorite airlines from New York to Frankfurt direct, Singapore Airlines for less than $1,000 each way in business class? This all sounds much more appealing than paying even the lowest price, one way $1,800 in cash for American. Am I right? Well, it really isn't so complicated to learn how to do that. You can do it in just a few hours using my Points Master program, which has helped hundreds of people. But don't take my word for it. Check this out.
Hi, my name is Darren. I'm an Australian living in Frankfurt, Germany, and a recent member of the Points Masters program. Because I actually travel back and forth from Australia quite a bit, this program has allowed me to learn how to purchase points and then redeem them for a discounted price. I've just purchased my first return flight back home with a savings of $2,500 US, and that's with Singapore Airlines and Air India business class. I cannot believe that money that I've just saved. So Dan, thanks very much for all your efforts on putting this all together, and for you watching, please have a good look at this. It's well worth your time, and it will save you a lot of money. All the best, everyone. Bye.
That's Darren from Australia, and no, I'm not holding him hostage, and no, he's not a paid actor. He is one of many people who have joined Points Master and learned how to master the art of buying and redeeming points for airline premium cabins. That's how I do what I do on this channel and manage to fly so much. And if you want to upgrade the way you travel, there's really no better time than now. Every day you wait is one more day of potentially having to book a long-haul flight in economy because you haven't jumped on this opportunity yet. So join everyone on Points Master at the QR code right here or at the link at the top of the description. The best thing is, at those links you can also try out the free mini program if you haven't already. And I'll see you all in the next video on another business class flight, of course, here on Nonstop Dan. And it's gonna be a lot more positive, which I'm really excited to share with you. Until then, as always, fly safe, guys.